there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. So we're on the road to go play with some horses today. Looking forward to that. They always have something brilliant to tell me. So the download I got this morning was an ongoing theme that is very relevant right now. This is a timeless message, of course, because it's relevant within a timeline whenever it's happening. All timelines that are going through experience of entropy and decaying away are going to go through this process until they ascend, give up the ego, and move through those blocks and those timelines. So this is relevant at this particular time. However, it's relevant all of the time, depending on which lens you're looking through. So let's move on with this. This morning I was listening to someone who mentioned, and it's, I don't know, probably the 6th or 7th time in the last month that she's mentioned this movie, The Color Purple. Now, The Color Purple originally came out in theaters when I was a teenager, so I understand that there's a remake of it. However, I haven't seen that one, so I'm referencing my experience of that movie, so the original, and I did not read the book. But the bottom line, ultimately, is no matter what the details are, the crux of the story, at least in the movie that I watched, was that Miss Seeley, I believe her name was abused. She was being assaulted, yes, on many levels. However, a couple of children came of these assaults from a man who was way too old to be mismanaging his mind in such a way to abuse a child on any level. And her father had already given her to this man. It was back, in a very different time, kind of, sorta. And so bring that theme forward to what that slavery concept and what that idea of overpowering and domination and assault looks like at this point in time in 2024. And so these babies were taken away from her. She wasn't even allowed to, the product of this assault, she's not even going to be allowed to keep those children. And this man, I believe he had children, that was, and why she was taken away. It was her father, I believe, that had assaulted her to begin with. Sorry, I'm messing this story up. And so, in order to just get rid of her and get rid of who she is and what she is, because she's a bit of a problem, he gave her away to this man who had children, and his wife died, probably to get away from him because he was awful. She called him Mr. And so Mr. had a couple of children, and they needed somebody, they needed a slave essentially to take care of, to run the house, to do all the bidding, to do all the chores, etc. And so she arrives at this place, and it's a complete mess. It's a wholly disgusting terror, a big dumpster fire, essentially. And these children are out of line, they don't behave, etc. And so she essentially goes from being the slave of her father to do his bidding, to the slave of her next father, who she just transferred and called him Mr. However, it was the exact same theme of abuse and horror. And her sister, she was not allowed to keep contact with her sister. She was separated, and sister couldn't break through Mr. Mr. told the Seeley, I think, told Seeley, his new bride, that his new slave, that if you go to the mailbox, I'll kill you, or something. I mean, it was pretty dramatic that the sister kept trying to get a hold of her and tell her, keep strong, keep strong, keep strong. And ultimately, throughout this whole entire story, which is the struggle of humanity on some level, we can identify with this struggle of good and evil, and what the hell are you doing? We've all been a prisoner to somebody and their bad ideas, or we've been taken hostage by stuff in our own mind, or we've done that, and we've done both, usually, because there's no way to really play the game without playing both parts of the game. It's just some of us have really ridden on one side of the equation more than others. So, and not good or bad. I'm not assigning the good or bad thing on it for each individual story. I'm just saying that being a victim or a victimizer is not pleasant, and it's not the paradigm we're in anymore, and why these timelines are being crushed and crushed to the ground of, no, we're not doing this anymore. It can't contain the light. That's a very dark period, the dark ages of the age of Pisces, which we're not in that anymore, which is why you see all of these paradigms just being destroyed and self-destroyed, self-destructed in many places, and where light workers are going in and doing their work in a very righteous way, and systems are coming down, not out of malicious intent, out of I'm being a light, and I can't help that it really destroys the blind folk in here that do not want to see, the ones who are standing in ignorance and darkness, who do not want to give up their perceived positions of power. Yet used to be true, however that's not what's true anymore. So anyway, as Celie is trying to cope with the fact that she's just been born into slavery and sold, basically into another type of slavery. Wow, that's a huge, not sure what that is. It looks like it might be a hawk. Not sure. Very large bird. Thank you, whoever, whatever you are. A couple of them. Wow, that's really nice. Thank you. Good morning. So she's there. She's trying to cope with her life being a mother to little hoodlums that aren't that much younger than her. She's separated from her sister, and the one person in her life that was teaching her how to read, that was teaching her how to be educated, that was teaching her to think for herself and have a mind of her own. And how that one made it out, I don't really remember. I'm not sure. But Celie was the designated, you're going to be the place, the scapegoat, you're going to be the one that we use as a battering ram, etc. So anyway, when Celie finally decides that she's done, she comes across some people that, through a series of events, she comes across people into her world who question her and challenge her own beliefs about what she's worthy of, whether you're fat, you're black, you're ugly, you're something, you're all these things that this father figure, this mister, has told her that you won't make it without me. This woman challenges her, challenges her and says, you're not ugly, you're not all these things, you're not unworthy. Why don't you come with me and come live this life, where you don't have to be under the thumbnail of some gross old man with stinky breath and terrible attitude, that's abusing you. Do you not know that you deserve more? And she really didn't. She had no idea. But once she wakes up to that idea, she's like, yeah, I'll take my chances, I'm out. And she eventually finds letters from her sister. I don't really know how that all came to be. I'm not sure. I don't remember the timeline exactly in the movie, but she finds letters from her sister who's been connecting with her this entire time. She's been sitting in this horror, this terrible, awful situation, thinking she's been abandoned by the one woman the one person in her life who loved her the most, her sister. They had a special, handshake thing going that she knew she was bonded to, and she could not imagine, why has she abandoned me? Why did she, never write to me? She promised me she would. And Mr. was the one that stood in the way of her sister, and blocked that. And as it comes to the end, you hear her say, the end of their time together, she tells Mr. that everything, when she finds out, I got letters from my sister, I have children that are being taken care of by my sister, that she saved them, she rescued them, my children, this man that was abusing me, the product, that I made these children, he wasn't my father after all, he was just some other person, some other horrible individual, and my sister has my kids, and she's in Africa right now doing great work, and she's coming back for me. When she finds all that out, and that comes to a head, and she fully gets it and understands at like 50 years old or something, that she realizes, what the absolute fuck did I just go through? And what did you just say to me, fool? She rears up on this man, and she gets down and dirty with it, I think at a family gathering, and says, no, I'm out. And she jumps in the car and she starts going, and she turns around and she says, everything that you touch is cursed from here on out until you make right by me, until you make good with me. Everything you touch is cursed until you fix this, you fool, essentially. And what she's saying is, I don't know that she's actually casting a spell. Of course, we are casting spells by using our mouths. We are articulating a manifestation that we'd really like to see. How deep and dirty we go into seeing that happen is where it really is that we can say a lot of stuff, but when we go deep into seeing that someone lives a horrible life on top of saying it and going through all those iterations is where that stuff gets messy. And she didn't. She just simply was stating a fact from my perspective that I don't have to do anything, because everything that you've already done will bring you what you deserve, and I'm out. And it will be that way until you fix it, mister. And she takes off and she goes, and I think she buys a dress shop or does something. I don't know. She gets on with her life and starts to create a whole new world for herself. And Mr. spends however many years of his dwindling, terrible life watching her and spying on her and spooking up on her, you know, where she can't see him, seeing that she's this beautiful person who has all these skills and all these abilities. And he's realizing, you know, chicken's on his table and he's looked like hell, and, you know, he's a whole mess. Nobody wants him. People don't like him. He's an outcast now, and he's no longer the big giant bully that he used to be. He has no authority anywhere anymore. And he realizes that he's a whole mess and a whole embarrassment, and that he's really quite an evil person, I guess. I don't know. They don't get into the psychological profile of Mr. They just see that, you just see him looking and going through these different phases of him continuing to denude into this pile of awful that can't even take care of himself, while she's rising up and becoming better and better and better than she ever was on her youngest day, her best day ever before. And so eventually he goes and he takes all the money, I think that either that he stole from her or that he had, I don't really remember. He goes and he makes it right, and he gets her children brought to her from Africa. He brings them over. He gets their citizenship. He gets something, I don't remember. He takes a hand in 1111. Thank you. He takes a hand, a very active role in making sure that he elicits a change for the good for her, that he makes right to the best of his ability to bring forth a change in her world for the good, for presumably all the hell that he brought to her, all the abuse that he exacted upon her, all of the horrible behavior and entitlement that he believed he could own a whole human being, and abuse that, use it like it was some, you know, machine or something, or that it was okay to do that. He goes and he makes it right, and she indeed does fulfill, it is fulfilled what her prophecy was, or what her observation of, man, you've been a dill hole, and you're going to die a dill hole, and you're going to have a dill hole existence until you make this right. You know, it's not going to get better until you make it right. And I don't remember if he quietly just, you know, decays away and goes away. However, there's some sense, if I remember correctly, that she sees him in a distance and says thank you, or he tips his hat at her or something. And we understand that Celie wasn't after, you know, going after this dude herself. That wasn't her angle. She was a very righteous and godly woman, and she understood, in my opinion, she was observing the law, that you've been out here honking it sideways, dude, and you're not going to like the way this looks as you continue to curse at yourself with being that kind of an awful person. You cannot do that kind of thing to someone who's very righteous and holy and coming at you in innocence. You cannot, you know, really screw innocence and have that be okay with you. You can't exert and squirt your power over somebody and have that be something that will last forever and ever and ever. It comes to an end. And we're seeing that now in time, right now in 2024. We're going to continue to see it all over the world until the last one of those timelines is deconstructed, that people who existed in positions of power and they abused their authority, they took advantage of vulnerability, they took advantage of innocence, they took advantage of gullibility, they overpowered, no matter what age that it happened to begin with or continue to happen. You know, it doesn't matter. It's not the chronological age that's important. It's the amount of how much power did someone exert over another and take advantage of that power differential, how much manipulation, how much coercion, how much blocking. And that is what's coming into fruition now, is that all of those people who curse themselves, you know, you are cursed until you make that right by every single person that we have damned in the past. Until we make it right, we will be damned on some level. So it's not that anybody gets out of this, you know, math equation. We all answer to the same math, the same laws, etc., the same universal laws. We all answer to those the same. However, it's how much were you doing, you know, universal manipulation, or how much were you doing bad math, so to speak, And how much do you have to repay in that karmic debt, and how are you willing to repay that? And there are some people that are even still, it blows my mind, it absolutely blows my mind. I'm like, I have no idea what you need to have happen in your world, how many more things you need to have explode. However, man, I'm gonna yield early because I don't want to lose anymore. I've lost everything I care to lose, you know, just being misunderstanding the game. I wasn't even malicious about it myself necessarily. I mean, I really wasn't. However, other people around me that, do you not see, do you not know, do you not understand, and do you not feel that the earth rattling and shaking under your feet is meant to rattle and shake us within, that we understand you've gone sideways with this, you have mismanaged your energy and your resource. And when you intentionally step out into those areas where we're reaching into our dark bag and trying to cause harm on another person, that is not tolerated at epic levels now, and it's not going to continue. It's going to continue to not be tolerated more and more and more as we continue to ascend. Earth's resonance is rising, the Schumann resonance continues to rise, we continue to move into ascended energies, and we continue to bring in and anchor in these new frequencies, that there's nowhere on the planet to hide where light doesn't exist. It's a matter of people are going into their darkness to go investigate it, I guess. However, believing that we somehow thwart that or that we can challenge it and win is ridiculous. And knowing that spot within us, that it's time to get out of my ego, it's time to get out of my bravado, it's time to get out of my arrogance, it's time for me to get out of any belief that I have power over the ultimate authority. Who is the ultimate authority? That's for every single person to design in their mind or come to an awareness or awakening about that. However, we all submit to something because we don't have authority over weather or over, you know, the phenomenon that happens here. We don't have authority over any of those places that we think we do or thought we did. We do not. We have evidence of it everywhere. So I don't like to play in areas where I know my place is as the underling to that. I surrender to that process because it is greater than me, and it's working for the benevolence and beauty of every single living life force on this planet. So why would I manipulate it? I want to go with the flow of the river rather than challenge it and tell it I'm gonna boss it and give it its direction. That doesn't go well anymore. So anyway, I'm almost to my horse farm where I'm going to go and spend time with all kinds of people and horses and fun and the sun. So these are all very good things to have on my schedule for the day. But I hope that you're enjoying your day no matter what part of the day you're in. And remember to get within your skin, because you're divine. It is absolutely fine. It has sovereignty, it has authority, and it has ability. And when we open up to understand that, opening up our mind to how much more we can design of our own volition and our own ego being in charge is not where it's at. It's opening up further into the submission of understanding that we surrender to the Most High, whatever we think that is. We surrender to that. Otherwise, we would live eternally and get away with anything that we want to, and we simply don't. So take care of yourselves, as I said, and enjoy your day. Get within, because you're divine. It's absolutely fine. Take care, and I will see you again next time, my beautiful friends. Bye-bye.